So the Indiana Fever went and played a couple of games a weekend. They played 2. They got one more preseason game. And what they did was they, are still posting a lot of stuff. The Indiana Fever social media team has been incredible. It's been absolutely incredible. And what they did was they posted a thing right here, continuing to build out their back-to-back preseason games over the weekend. And they did post a breakdown of their, well, not necessarily their training camp, but if you can still consider training camp was preseason start or just preseason practice. But let's take a listen and a watch right here and react to it.
All right, y'all, another opportunity for us to stack days, okay? Day after a day off, sometimes they can be sluggish, not today. Okay, not today. Sometimes we're gonna have to play a game after a day off.
Long twos. That's all I'm hearing in my head is long twos.
Right? So we're not gonna be. We gotta work smart. Okay? Hey, so let's not miss this opportunity. Energy on 3, 1, 2, 3. Energy.
So obviously they're just looking, and in fairness, the Indiana Fever run an awful lot of backdoor cuts into a dribble. Not necessarily dribble handoff, but post player dribbling towards a guard, pitching to the wing, pitch, pick and rolls. They run an awful lot of them. And as you can see, I said it from the very start when you were looking at Caitlin Clark, Bree Turner, all these players, when they were doing their workouts, a lot of it was that pitch, pick and roll. A lot of the time, I was surprised, a lot of the time they do screen down into the pitch, pick and roll. I do find it interesting that they do that, and one of the weird things the Fever tend to do is when the player sets the pin down coming into the pick and roll, the player kind of stays in the corner. I would prefer if that player just got the fuck out of there. Oh, I meant to say got the F out of there, but either way, who cares? If they just got as far away from that as possible, it gives them an opportunity to occasionally score maybe twice a game off that backdoor cut. And it also means that the pick and roll completely isolates this side of the floor, allowing the role player to get better looks at the basket rather than allowing the corner player to kind of almost guard 2 at 1, but again, that's a little thing. And as the season goes on, we'll see whether that ends up being an issue. Okay. I love it. The first thing they are showing. Yeah, there's the pin down. Okay, so basically they're running that so that Kelsey Mitchell lifts up. Okay. Kelsey Mitchell, it just looked really bad in the last some of the other clips that we were watching because Jaylen Brown just stood in the corner. If she's gonna lift off that and they're gonna look back at it, fair enough. And they went to set another flare screen for each other. Okay. Good cut, Leah. Lexi Hull hit a lot of shots, in fairness. I think she's a much better corner three-point shooter than she is from the wing. So we're looking at an awful lot of those looks. We're looking at an awful lot of those screen down into the pitch, pick and roll while the wing lifts. And also weird looks that if the ball gets to the big and the high post, sometimes there are guard-to-guard flare screens. I want to see, is there any footage? Is there any game footage? Because for drills, we can only see so much from drills. Is there any game footage? Even against practice team. I do want to see some game-like situations, see what they're working on. It's a lot of handoffs. We're working on a lot of handoffs. Yeah, it looks to be an awful lot of handoffs, off-ball screens, off-ball movement. Which, in fairness, we saw a bit more of that in the first game. There's a little bit less off-ball movement with Caitlin on the floor, but there's more than last year. Whereas last year it was literally the high pick and roll and just stare. They're showing too much Timpson footage to Cutter. Okay, they're running. They're out there running. You can just tell from the way the sideline is. You can tell when a team is playing with energy when they're pushing for energy. And again, I've been on teams, obviously not at the level of the WNBA, but I've coached, again, lowest level, as low, not the lowest level, but an extremely low level of pro basketball in the grand scheme of things. And you can tell in practices when the energy changes. You can tell with the people on the sidelines. You can tell in a lot of defensive drills and just the intensity when it came, when it comes into practice, you can tell when things are intense, and this is intense, which is really good. Because in fairness, as much as people want to clown the Fever against the Washington Mystics, they were exceptional defensively against the Mystics. Good switch by Aaliyah. So Lexi gets caught out here on a back cut. Sophie gets caught in a back cut. Really nice switch there by Aaliyah, coming down to help. And really good from Sophie, as you can see. It's hard to see, but she drops off to cover Aaliyah's player. So it's a really nice switch. Candice is covering that. And good scramble. It's exactly what you want to see. When you get forced into a switch maybe you don't want to do, you want to see scrambling, which is good. And again, this is coming from, I don't think they're going to be a great defensive team, but it's coming from one of the worst defensive teams. The only reason they're not one of the worst defensive teams I've ever seen at the professional level is the Wings were somewhat worse. Good defense. Where does she come from? Where does Michaela Timpson come from? Oh, wow. She's not even in screen for that one. She's not even in screen. Wow. Okay. She made that kind of shot. She missed a lot of layups in those few games. So if Aaliyah can get the layups down, we're all good.
We get an opportunity to step on the floor as an opportunity to get better. We got to continue to stack the days. Got to continue to hold each other and ourselves accountable. Okay, got to continue to move forward progress. All right, good job. Because we don't want to be good, we want to be great. Right? We want to be elite. We want to compete for championships. And competing for championships means minimizing mistakes. It means self-correcting, and it means accountability. All right, good work today, y'all.
I stand by this. Minimizing mistakes. It depends on your role. It depends on your role. It depends on as a team. Minimize your mistakes as a team. I do think there is a difference between minimizing mistakes and being scared of making mistakes, because we all know that if you're trying to minimize mistakes, sometimes that ends up being you stop trying to do anything. Because the easiest way to not make mistakes is not try to do anything. And this is coming from a player who, again, at the quote, I played a low level, a really, really, really low level of pro basketball. Like it was like an equivalent of, at best, NCAA D3. I played, never fucked up, ever, never made any mistakes, but never did anything, so I didn't really play. And obviously that was even me as a kid. So there's a big difference between minimizing mistakes in a productive way and minimizing mistakes in an unproductive way.
Here we go! Together, 3, 1, 2, 3!
But yeah, that is it. That is it, lads. That is the Fever video. And you can see with the defensive intensity. I want to see what people are saying here, but you can see there is a different level of defensive intensity that they're playing with now. There is a different level compared to last year. And ironically, this is not a coach that comes out there and constantly has to remind everyone that she's a defensive coach. That, she focuses on defense because, offense is a more important side of the ball than defense. But at the end of the day, you can't win anything without both. Offense is more important, but you can't win anything without both. And it's good to see them focusing on both. But anyway, I'll see you guys.